Hello, everybody. This is What's the Pitch podcast, where we pitch Hollywood's next hit. I'm with my usual suspects, Eddie and Kevin, and today our special guest is Jesh.
All the way from Minnesota.
All the way from Minnesota.
Field, Minnesota.
Let's do this. I'm ready.
All right, so I'm gonna come up with a movie title, and the three of you have to come up with a pitch so that I can greenlight this movie.
Okay.
Or maybe I won't greenlight it. Maybe it'll be trash.
You know what, bro? I don't think we've had what would you call it, a red light at this point?
We haven't had a red light because we've been doing really good, but
It's been
today I'm a little reckless today. So you guys have to be good. I'm putting pressure on.
No, bro, I'm feeling creative. Let me tell you.
All right.
Okay. The title is "What Happens in the Village." ...
My God.
You have to include the dots. What happens in the village? ...
Is it what happens or what happened?
What happens?
What happens in the village? ...
So it's still happening right now as we speak.
I don't know. You tell me.
Fuck,
is this a sequel to The Village?
That's literally the first thing that came to my mind too, bro. It's a sequel to The Village, but
interesting.
I'm not crazy about that movie.
That's why we got to make a better version of it.
In the village.
For some reason, like what popped in my head was like Children of the Corn. I don't know about you guys.
So wait, you're saying this is a horror movie?
I mean, dude, listen to the title.
What happens in the village? ...
What happens in the village? I mean, think about it as like, I feel like that sounds a lot like kind of like a children's like scary story, like something that.
All right.
Like
I'm listening.
Grandmother would say, like, you know, if you're being bad, like, oh, Juan, you know what happens in the village, right?
Oh, okay. All right.
So what happens in the village? So this is a horror movie.
The question is, what happens in the village?
Damn.
So I think that it has to be some kind of horror movie that is being used to scare children into being like good, you know, like. So this monster or this horror element has to pretty much attack children. So we have a village, and I think that it needs to be in a time where there's not a lot of technology. So maybe we're doing like.
Bro, you're just making The Village.
It's fucking right, bro. God damn it. God damn, I'm making the fucking village, bro.
It's like that's just how the movie gets you, bro. It starts off and you're like, damn, so good, and then it devolves into bullshit. So
yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
You know what it is? The village it's like an urban legend, right? Is what like parents tell their kids, like, if you misbehave, you're gonna go and you're gonna live in the village.
Ooh.
Right?
Okay, all right. Okay, that's an idea. No, I'm listening.
But what if this is like an urban legend, and you kind of have like people that you have kind of the people that believe in it, and then you have the people that just think it's straight BS. But then you kind of have like those people who are maybe like adults now, but they say they've been to the village, like when they were younger.
So that's
does our main character believe in it, or he doesn't believe in it?
I feel like you should be confused about it.
But is the main character a child or an adult?
I think we need to have someone a little bit younger, so you have that sense of like, you don't know what's reality and what's like in their mind when they're making up, because they're a little bit younger.
That innocence.
That innocence. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Taking all the ideas that you guys pitched so far is there is a village, and the village is where they send bad kids. So it's not people are getting taken from the villages; they're getting sent to the village. So when you're a bad kid, they send you to the village, and in the village they pretty much put you into some kind of like manual slave labor. Like they're forcing these kids to like live almost like in jail cells.
Okay.
And there's a town where all the moms keep telling like, hey, you guys better behave, you're going to the village. One of the kids leaves town. We don't know why. His parents move away. And the kids in the neighborhood are like, yo, we think that they sent him to the village, and you know what happens in the village. So we have to go rescue him.
Ooh, I like this.
Now these kids are going to rescue their friend Todd from the village, but they don't know where the village is. They don't know how to get there, but they know that their friend's in danger.
So this is like Stranger Things.
Kind of like Stranger Things, yeah. And I think what we need to do is we need to make the audience think the whole time that the village isn't real and it's just made this made-believe thing, but eventually they actually need to get to the actual village.
Yeah, it'll
Like,
be
it does
cool.
exist.
It'll be cool if like the kid is trying to find the village to find his friend or whatever, and people keep telling him that's just a fucking story.
Yes, exactly.
One,
That's just a
like
story,
I used
bro.
to tell you that shit when you were 9, so you would stop misbehaving.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like this.
But now here at the end, we actually get to this village. So now the kid, Juan, lost his friends. He gathers up the neighborhood kids, Stranger Things style. They're on bikes. They have to go find the village. What do they do to find that village? Who do you ask?
I feel like there has to be something along like, I don't know, maybe like some kind of like they have to get a certain number of like relics, like in order to kind of like summon this.
To like open a gate almost to the village.
So we're going sci-fi here.
But wait, so there's an actual like magical element to it?
I don't know if there's a
Like
magical
a
element.
supernatural like element to it.
I think yeah, I agree. There should be a supernatural element to it, but there should be some ambiguity about it, because that's what led us to this, is like, is it real? Is it not real? Is it this? Is it that? And I feel like if they find the air quotes village, it should be probably like by the end of the first act, beginning of the second act,
Okay.
and what they think is the village, but it's not. It's like let's say it's a variation of like an Amish community or something like that, but they're like hyper religious, like crazy,
Oh, I love
like
that
zealots,
already, bro. I love it.
almost like kind of like how Red State, like as the movie progresses, it's just constantly changing and you don't know what direction it's going in.
Ooh, I
Like this, they get to this village and it's this crazy religious fanatical cult crazy village, and in their heads it's the village, but when they get there they're like outsiders and they're like, fuck these people, and they capture all these kids and they're like going to like sacrifice them to some sort of like deity.
Yes.
Ooh.
Okay, listen, bro. I'm running with this, bro. Running with it. We get to the village. It is crazy cult people. And you know what happens with crazy cult people is when you first meet them, they don't tell you they're crazy. They pretend to be super fucking nice to you because they want to pull you in. So this cult leader comes up to this group of like 4 kids and is super nice. Someone's like, hey guys, don't worry. We know you're lost. Why don't you guys stay for dinner? It's getting late. And one of the kids has to be like, nah, bro, like this is not cool. We need to get out of here. And the kid's like, no, I mean, let's see. You know, it's going to be fine. What the cult leader does, because he's a genius and he has this shit all planned out, is he has a pretty girl that is the same age as these 4 little boys. And he brings that girl out and tells the girl, hey, be nice to these boys, get them to stay here. So now the main boy, Juan, is getting lost in the fact that we have this pretty girl who's giving him all his attention. Is being like, hey, we're super happy here. Come with me. I'm going to show you the playroom. We can show you the lunch area. So this kid's lost. Like he's being pretty much sucked into this cult. But we need one of the boys to be like, nah, bro, we need to get out of here. This is a trap. I don't trust that girl.
What if like, because I like the idea of kind of like sacrificing these children.
Oh.
But there has to be like a purpose for like the sacrifice.
So check this out. What if they pay for these children, right? And they brainwash them into the cult. But if they resist the brainwashing, then they sacrifice or something like that.
Yeah,
no,
because
I think that's I feel like that just becomes too complicated, because then like you have the process of brainwashing these kids and it's like they're trying to bring them into the cult, but like if they resist the brainwashing, then they have to sacrifice them. Like I feel like that's just like a really blurry line, because then it's like why sacrifice them? Why not just kill them and get it over with? Like who are they sacrificing into, and for what reason are they sacrificing?
Yeah, you're right.
It's kind of like midsummer. There's like a reason as to why they're sacrificing.
So what if this has to deal with kind of like, so like let's say the village is like this fucking beautiful place, and it's like almost like too good to be true, and it's like once in a while, like once every other spring or something like that, like they had to sacrifice these children in order for their land to prosper. So in order for their land to kind of maintain kind of that beauty, like that, not even beauty, like it's all an illusion. But what they sacrifice these kids in order. So here's kind of like where you could, because some people might ask like, oh, why kids? Why can't it be anybody else? I mean, kids are young, they're youthful. So what if like these kids' youth kind of like keep their land, quote unquote, young? Like it keeps it.
Ooh, I like that,
That's
bro.
a good point right there. That's good.
Like, so something like along those lines. Like, I mean, this has to be like a really like insanely beautiful place. And it's like when these kids get there, they're like, I mean, what's so bad about this place? It's beautiful. And like the people there are probably like, yeah, I don't know, like there's stories about it, blah, 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 blah. But it's like once they start kind of like digging into the truth and they start realizing that like it is that spring where it's time to sacrifice, it's like these kids start to realize all this crap. And then it's like once like you have that one kid that does resist it, to them that illusion slowly starts like wearing off, and he starts to realize that this place is actually like this ugly, like, I don't know, some ugly shrine looking place.
Yes. Okay. I think in order to have a successful horror film, we can't half-ass it, and I think we need to kill one of these 4 kids.
Oh, of course.
That's
Maybe even more than one.
2? I mean,
I think it, and this is where you run the line, and this is just me personally, that it's much more difficult to not kill them than it is to kill them in a horror film. And I think what you have to look at is the trade-off, like the trade-off. Like you come in easily, but you cannot come out as easy.
yes.
So I think there needs to be like sacrifices on the part of the kids that can manifest differently. Like, you know, let's say one of them has to like cut off his own arm or like a hand or something, and like have them all survive, because I think you could still maintain that like looming sense of dread, but not have that idea of, oh, we're just going to start gratuitously killing these kids. But they have to come out like radically changed. Like one of them just can't see, or one of them can't speak, and like you can.
Yeah, what's worse than dying, basically?
That's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I think that's actually perfect, because I feel like if we're still going with this idea of kind of like these people that know about it, and you have like the believers and non-believers, like what if the believers are people who were in the village and were affected by it, but are considered crazy by the others? So like you have that one blind guy that says he's been to the village. You have that one deaf guy who says he's been to the village, or you just have like that one dude who's like really messed up, and like everyone calls him like, you know, the crazy dude in town. Like, you know, you always have that one guy in every horror movie that warns everybody about it, and he's like the crazy dude. But like these are actually victims of the village, and like it's kind of like full circle. Is like these kids go to the village, they experience everything, and then once they do survive, I mean, they're the new kind of generation of those crazy people.
Yeah. What about this? Would this be too much? What if like you, let's say somebody is blind, right? Mm-hmm. But in the village, when they sacrifice the kids, they can see in the village.
But once they leave the village, they cannot see anymore?
They can't. So that's how the village stays with people, and that's why they keep sacrificing, so they can live their perfect life. Is that too much?
Wait, you lost me. If you can explain that again. Like
let's say you live in the village. Let's say, for example, you go to the village. Something happens to you, you lose your eyesight, right? If you leave the village and you go somewhere else, you're going to be this crazy blind guy, right? But if you stay in the village where they keep sacrificing kids every spring, in the village, you know how you said it was all an illusion? In the village, you could see. So that's why you stay in the village. You stay sacrificing kids because you can keep your eyesight as long as you stay there sacrificing kids.
But my question is, why would you like want to leave the village then if you can see in the village?
Because there's other evil shit happening there. You don't want to be part of that.
You don't want to be sacrificing kids every March.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's a good point. I think that we need to have our 4 people slowly start losing things, eyesight, their hearing, their arms, and they've been in this village for a few weeks now, and a few weeks into it, they finally see the boy that they went there to save. But he's been hidden the whole time. So maybe he's in a jail cell somewhere, or maybe he's being held up somewhere and not being allowed out. because that boy wanted to leave the village and he asked to leave. So now they're holding them there against his will. And this needs to be the moment where they see him and they're like, oh shit, it's fucking Todd. And they like come out of it and they're like, we need to get out of this place. Like, what the fuck have we been doing here?
What if like, okay, what if these kids, like they're there, right? But like the way kind of like the movie's paced, it's almost like they're there for like a max of like 2 days. But like, what if they're actually just like there like for like weeks and weeks and weeks, and like these kids are legit missing, but and this illusion that they're in, like it feels like they're only there for 2 days. And but what if these village people, like what's convincing them is like kind of like this great feast or something like that. Like there's like a big event, and then like they keep telling the kids like, you guys can't leave without seeing this. This is a once in a lifetime thing. But like that event is the sacrifice of their friend Todd, who went missing.
Oh shit!
That's it. There you go. Boom.
So that's kind of like that the moment where they're like, okay, like this is perfect. Like, okay, we'll see this big event and then we'll be happy and then we'll leave. But then it's like they fucking see Todd about to get cooked alive in front of all of them.
And now is when they got to make a choice. So what's the choice? What do they do?
So I mean, now
I feel like this is where one of them tries to save Todd, and because he tries to interrupt the feast, that's where they take both of his eyes out.
Yes, and they almost punish him.
Yeah, for trying to interrupt the feast.
But there has to be eventually this is gonna turn into kind of like a chase movie, because I mean these kids are gonna want to escape, but the problem with the chase movie is that you can only do so much with that. I mean, like let's say 1 or 2 of them do escape, it's like, I mean, what's next really? I mean, are the people gonna try to go after them, or are they kind of like still in the illusion, like kind of like, you know, I don't know what movie it was. I don't know if you guys ever seen Grave Encounters.
No.
It's not very good, but there's this thing that like they're stuck in a constant loop, and it's like wherever they go, they literally end up right in the same spot. So it's like, what if these kids are kind of like they're just trapped, and it's like they go out, they run, but they just keep looping around
They
and
keep
around.
looking back into the same village.
But wait, so the question, so now is the perfect time to ask this question. Does this movie have a happy ending, or does it in the end is just fucked up?
Well, let me tell you, like any good producer making a horror film, we need to end this with some kind of cliffhanger. It's going to allow us to make What Happens in the Village Part 2. So we need some kind of cliffhanger. I think that what would be cool is they finally somehow figure out how to escape the village, and they get out of the village. And they're all back home thinking that it's all been solved. But one day, one of the kids like gets up in the morning, you'll have a beautiful scene where like he's in bed, the alarm rings, he gets out, his mom's made breakfast downstairs, he has his breakfast, gets dressed to go outside the house. When he opens the door to his house to walk outside, he's back in the village.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Boom. Walk in the village, he looks around, and one of the village cult leader is like, hey, good morning, Todd, and boom, end credits. Done.
Damn, bro.
Part 2, baby.
Fucking Todd, man. A kid with that name should get sacrificed.
You should, honestly. You should.
I like that. I like that ending.
I mean, yeah. I mean, when it comes to like a good, effective horror movie, happy endings don't exist, man. Once you go downhill, you gotta just.
It has to get worse and worse and worse, I think.
I was thinking of some way, somehow, to have what Jesh was saying about like there's always like this person that's like crazy. There's like, oh, this blind old guy. Somehow, some way, like one of them ends up being that person that escaped the village, but it's all fucked up.
Yeah.
But how can we achieve that though?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That'd be a good idea.
I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, this is where you kind of like ask yourself as a filmmaker, like how to treat your audience. Like, do you want to kind of like spoon feed them, or do you want to just let them figure it out themselves? Because if you try to let them figure it out themselves, you can just have it like you have like these fucking disabled kids, and it's like they're talking this nonsense, but it's like the nonsense that they're talking about is kind of like the same nonsense that like these people that
the old guy was talking about.
Yeah, like the old guy was talking, and then from there, I mean, it's kind of like a thing that you pick up on the second watch, and you're like, wait, like now that makes sense why fucking Pedro el Loco was talking about this.
Pedro el Loco.
Like, that's why you was talking about this and this and that. Now you have this kid like talking about the same crap.
The same shit, yeah.
Or I mean, you can
That's
have
dope.
like, or you can have like, kind of like the on the nose thing where you just kind of like, I don't know, like, I don't know, somehow like, just compare the crazy people to like these kids, like maybe with like a fucking a flashback of like a conversation they were having, or
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Well,
So-
look, we have multiple elements here. We have Stranger Things, we have Midsummer, we have horror movies, we have the teenage kids running. I think this is a green light. I'm gonna have to green light this one. Even though
Nice.
I was said I'm not doing it, but I think this could be good, bro. Horror movies, it's like almost always horror movies are like a sure shot at the box office,
Yeah,
right?
true. Yeah, I mean, they pretty much always make
I
money.
agree.
If you make a half decent one, you're good. I feel like it has to be really fucking bad for people not to like fuck with it.
So what you're saying is that our horror film is pretty decent.
It's decent.
Okay. All right.
But the thing
You
is,
can make
even
money,
if,
bro, I'm
even
okay
if the
with
movie
that.
sucks, dude, people are still gonna go and watch it because it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Either
It's
way,
not too original. I don't feel like, but I feel like it could be successful. So I'm gonna green light it.
Nice. Okay.
Sweet.
All right. That was a
All right,
success.
guys,
You know,
so-
that was
Yeah, that
better
was
than I thought it
good.
would
That
be.
was good.
That was
better than I
good.
thought.
So everybody listening, please follow us on social media, WEGFilms, and wherever you're listening to this, just make sure you like it, you share, comment, leave us suggestions for future episodes. Thank you for listening.